I don't know if I should be worried about my 14F daughter's relationship with her 25 meters stepbrother. Longtime reader, first-time poster. I've actually tried to post this several times but I've had no luck getting it to show up, so we'll see if this goes through. I know it's quite a bit longer than necessary, but I feel like all the backstory and details are important in this case. I have 2 children from a previous marriage, a 9-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. My current husband has 2 children as well, the 25-year-old stepson this post is about, as well as a 28-year-old son. We got married about 4.5 years ago after being together a little over 2.5. The 28-year-old lives across the country with his boyfriend, keeps to himself, and we may see him once a year at most. The 25-year-old lives in the area and lived with us during the summers between school semesters and for about a year after graduating college. Since his father and I's marriage, he's been very active in my children's lives. He's babysat more times than I can count, picked them up from school, taken them out for day trips, to friends' houses or to visit relatives, read them bedtime stories when they were young, and has just been a really good brother to them. Him and my daughter are both similar types of people and have always been closely involved in each other's lives and hobbies because of that. Neither of them are super outgoing or fans of being around people for long periods of time, yet neither of them are loners or struggle to maintain relationships. My daughter has plenty of friends and an active social life and isn't struggling with fitting in at school. He's the same way, and until recently was in a several-year-long relationship with a woman his age. When he lived here, my daughter and him would always be building something together or tearing something apart or painting something. Nothing about what I've described so far is wrong or made me the slightest bit uncomfortable. I'm just filling in some of the backstory. However, my husband and I bought a house a couple hours away from us on a very large, well-known lake about a month and a half ago, and we've been down there getting settled in for the past 3 weeks. We planned for my stepson to come up for about a week to visit since he had no plans for the summer with everything going on. While he was here, there were a few moments that just felt sort of off, and it made me question a few other things I've noticed in the past, which I'm going to list in roughly the most innocuous to least. Whenever he comes to visit us, it feels like he's really coming to visit her. This might be entirely in my head, but he'll casually greet us and my son, yet he'll enthusiastically greet her. He'll then run off to spend time with her. Then again, he acts the exact same way when he sees our dogs too. During the past 4th of July weekend, him and my daughter disappeared from our neighbor's barbecue block party. I swung by the house and found them watching a movie in the living room. They were sharing a blanket but not particularly close, and I thought nothing of it. I took a look at the security cameras later and absolutely nothing abnormal happened, and I felt guilty for even doing that. This past trip I noticed similar disappearances where they'd quietly head up to the house in the middle of the day, and I'd frequently find them watching TV together in the living room, sometimes sharing a blanket, sometimes not, sometimes leaning against each other, sometimes on opposite sides of the couch. We haven't set up a security system yet, but as far as I can tell, no big deal. There were a few times that one of them would say something during the week that he was here that made me realize that they talk to each other much more often than just during visits. I don't know if it's through texts or calls, and I honestly can't even remember what was said, just that I had the sudden realization that they talk to each other enough that they have an active friendship with each other, which caught me off guard. I've gone through her entire text message history in the past when she's been grounded and never really found any personal conversations at all with anyone except me, her stepfather, and a few classmates, teammates, which makes me question if she's hiding things. My daughter will find any reason to get alone time with him. If he needs to run an errand while he's visiting, she'll go along with him. If we're headed in the same direction for something but taking 2 different cars, she'll ride with him. He never protests or suggests that she shouldn't. Both of them are super touchy-feely with each other, both in public and in private. My daughter will play with his hair and run her fingers through it even while we're out, or trace out the tattoos on his arm or hands with her fingers, or wrap her arms around him or try to climb on his back. I've told her to keep her hands to herself, but she's taken that to mean stop annoying your younger brother. She still acts the same with him. He never really attempts to stop her, but he also doesn't really initiate aside from small things like poking her or messing with her hair or very occasionally picking her up. I peeked into the living room one afternoon after they disappeared and found them under a blanket facing each other from opposite ends of the couch. She was taking pictures or a video of him with her phone, and when he noticed, he jumped on her and started wrestling her for her phone and pinning her down while they both laughed. They never make any attempt to hide what they're doing, but I can't shake the feeling that it feels like it's not really an appropriate way for an adult and a child to act. In the same vein as the previous comment, I'd watch them doing similar things while in the water together. Jump on each other, mess with each other's hair, touch each other. She'll climb on top of him when he's laying down by the pool or on the boat, or rub sunscreen on his back without him asking. I caught my daughter pushing her chest together in her bikini while they were talking and watched as they both started laughing about it. And by far the biggest red flag was a snippet of a conversation between the two of them while they were in the pool, where the only thing I heard was her ask, "Why can't you and him reply, because I'd go to jail." I have zero clue what the conversation was about before that, and they didn't say anything related to that after. None of these things are evidence that anything inappropriate is going on, but at the same time, I feel like I need the opinions of others. I can't talk to anyone in person because I'm worried about the fallout, and I definitely can't bring it up with my husband. If anything even resembling an accusation gets out, it could ruin our marriage, my daughter and stepson's relationship, and potentially ruin his life. But if I find out 5 years from now that there was something going on, I'll never be able to forgive myself. Even the most worrisome bit of evidence could be explained away 1,000 different ways. Am I freaking out about what could be a completely normal brother-sister relationship? Quick summary. It feels like my 14-year-old daughter and 25-year-old stepson are flirting with each other. I am a male and I grew up with a much older stepsister. A lot of what you are describing sounds similar to our relationship, and it was completely non-romantic. I totally understand your concerns, but looking at it through my experience with my family, this seems pretty innocuous. Here to reply the same. Nothing aside from the jail convo is anything alarming, and even Op says that they don't know what they were talking about. Op could be taking it out of context, or even have warped what they think they heard based on their suspicions. Op couldn't hear them well enough to hear a whole sentence. What's to say they actually heard what was said? If they're so close, it isn't surprising that they get excited to see each other, even over other members of the family. I have a favorite sister, and we would hang out together at every occasion, party or otherwise. I call her every week just to say hey. I have to work to have a similar relationship with the rest of my family. I would also join my sister on her errands. There's no point for me to go, but we enjoy hanging out, so every moment is fun and better than me being bored at the house. First of all, I can tell you really love your daughter. You pay attention to what she's doing and saying, and that's awesome. I'm a younger mom, mid-30s, so here's my take on it. It sounds innocent. They are two young people who have found someone very similar in personality and demeanor to bond with. Sometimes we manage to cross paths with someone who, for whatever reason, seem to understand and get who we are. This is what this sounds like to me. Yeah, as someone looking in, especially as a mom, it can feel off. But it looks and sounds innocent to me. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but both kids having been through parents divorcing and lots of changes, they're happy to have someone who understands. As for the jail comment, without context it's a crapshoot. There's even a subreddit for out-of-context sentences. Maybe have a tactful conversation with your daughter in regards to your stepson. It might help clarify things. Best wishes. I agree that it sounds like a loving sister-brotherly relationship. I also agree that she should just have a conversation with her daughter on the off chance that there is something more going on, and to help assuage her concerns. Just a private nonchalant conversation over ice cream or something, mentioning that she sees how close her and him are and how she's glad that she's been able to develop a close older brother relationship. And now that she's growing into a woman, it's important that she knows that if anything or anyone were to ever make her uncomfortable, you would always be there for her and would want her to tell you and feel comfortable going to you. You sound like a great mom op. Good luck. Thanks for listening so far. If story have an update, we will post here. Like, subscribe to our channel for upcoming stories.